Many thought his football career was over just 3 years ago. He himself even thought he might have to stop playing the game he loved. There were days where he would just lie on the floor crying, praying to God for protection. So how did he save his career after almost losing it all? Well, we're about to find out, because this is the truth, what they aren't telling you about the rise, fall, and redemption of Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix grew up as a coach's son just outside of Tampa Bay. At just 2 years old, he was throwing the football around with his dad. Even as just a 10-year-old, Michael was a great field general. One of his teammates told his dad he was mean as hell in the huddle because he always made sure each player was doing exactly what they were supposed to do on every play. Despite being an outstanding quarterback in middle school, Penix hit a roadblock once he got to high school. His freshman year, the starting quarterback job went to the son of the team's offensive coordinator. So before his junior year, he transferred to Tampa Bay Technical High School. Initially, he was the third-string quarterback at his new school. However, after turning heads in camp, Penix was named the starting QB. That season, his junior year, Michael was one of the best quarterbacks in the state, throwing for over 2,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, and just one interception. Colleges started to take note of Penix, and soon he was a 3-star recruit. After receiving offers from schools like Florida State, Oregon, Arizona, and Rutgers, Penix committed to the University of Tennessee. However, just a few weeks after committing to the school, head coach Butch Jones was fired. Tennessee's athletic director called the Penix family after the news broke to let them know Michael's offer still stood. And when Jeremy Pruitt was hired as the new head coach, he too called to reiterate that message. But just a few days before his official visit, the school called and told him they were pulling his offer. He was upset that his loyalty to the school during a turbulent time wasn't reciprocated. With less than 2 months to go before early enrollment started, Penix needed to come up with a new plan fast. Indiana knew the QB was now uncommitted and decided to bring him up for a visit. Michael ended up loving the program and committed to play there. After seeing action in 2 games earlier in the season, Penix made his first collegiate start October 20th versus Penn State. However, as soon as he got his chance, it was ripped away. In his very first start, Michael tore his ACL and was done for the season. Heading into the following season, the starting spot wasn't automatically his. He had to fight for it in camp. Penix ended up winning the job, and once the season started, people were surprised at just how good he was. But just as he was leading the school to their best season in over a decade, Penix hurt his non-throwing shoulder and had to undergo season-ending surgery yet again. Growing up, Michael's mom used to tell him can't was a bad word, a word he wasn't allowed to use. He could say, "I'll try," but never, "I can't." So Penix attacked his rehab yet again and was ready to go for the start of the 2020 season. The first game of the season, the unranked Hoosiers were facing off with number 8 ranked Penn State. With just 1:42 left in the game, Indiana found themselves down 8 at their own 25. Penix led the team down the field and sneaked in for a touchdown with 22 seconds left. But to send the game to overtime, they needed a 2-point conversion. Yet again, Penix took matters into his own hands and rushed into the end zone to tie the game. Penn State scored the first touchdown in OT, and the Hoosiers were soon staring at a 3rd and goal. Michael then dropped this dime to bring his squad within 1. Indiana decided to go for 2, and Penix yet again took the ball himself and got to the pylon to win the game. It was a massive upset victory for the school and one of their biggest wins in a very long time. After Penix went off again in their Week 2 game versus Rutgers, scoring 4 total touchdowns, Indiana was the 13th ranked team in the nation. The next week, the Hoosiers were set to face off with another nationally ranked team, number 23 Michigan. Penix continued his outstanding play in that one, throwing for nearly 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. By the end of November, the team was ranked 9th in the nation, the highest they had been ranked since 1967. Penix was leading his team on a historic run, but then it all came crashing down. In a late November game versus Maryland, Penix went down in pain. It turns out he tore the exact same ACL he tore just 2 years prior. Michael knew the grueling rehab process he was about to undergo yet again, and the big question was just how strong would his knee be after its second repair. Heading into 2021, Penix was named the starter yet again, but just as the season was about to start, he got a call from his surgeon. He told Michael, "Hey, you're not cleared yet from me, but if you want to play, then you can." So the quarterback decided to suit up. Penix says he wasn't in the best headspace that season after dealing with so many serious injuries. He says there were times before games where he would just lay on his floor and cry, praying to God that he would protect him that day. He struggled on the field that season too, having multiple games with both 3 interceptions and a completion percentage in the low 40s. Penix's season was cut short yet again, this time by a separated throwing shoulder. Some thought his career was done after this terrible season. I mean, he was already 21, and a lot of the quarterbacks in his high school class were already in the NFL, like Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. So Penix decided to hit the transfer portal. But he wasn't regarded that highly, as he was ranked as the 23rd best QB in the portal that year. In the end, Michael decided to transfer to Washington and reunite with his old Indiana offensive coordinator, Kalen DeBoer, who was hired as the Huskies' new head coach. Penix showed his career was far from over in his first start with the Huskies, completing 66% of his passes for 345 yards and 4 touchdowns in a Week 1 win versus Kent State. In Week 3 versus number 11 Michigan State, Penix threw for 397 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions in the unranked Huskies upset win. His best game of the season came in an October matchup versus Arizona. In that one, he completed over 80% of his passes for 516 yards, 5 total touchdowns, and no interceptions. Washington beat Texas in the Alamo Bowl that year and finished the season ranked 12th in the nation. Penix came in 8th for the Heisman after throwing for over 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, and just 8 interceptions. Washington headed into the 2023 season ranked 10th in the nation. Of the 15 games he played in 2023, Penix only passed for less than 300 yards in 5 of them. After the team went undefeated during the regular season, the Huskies were ranked 2nd heading into the college football playoff. In the semifinal game versus number 3 Texas, Penix completed 76% of his passes for 430 yards and 2 touchdowns. The team ultimately lost versus number 1 Michigan in the national championship, but Penix still had a historic season. He came in 2nd for the Heisman after passing for over 4,900 yards and 36 touchdowns. Once the season ended, Penix declared for the 2024 NFL Draft, a draft class that was already loaded with talent at the quarterback position. Everyone raved about Penix's arm strength and deep ball accuracy during college, but the quarterback also had a lot of question marks. First off, he was old. Penix will be 24 when he takes his first NFL snap, while another top QB prospect, JJ McCarthy, will be just 21. There was also a lot of concern about his injury history, especially his ACL that was torn twice. How prone was that knee to tear again? Michael Penix is one of the most polarizing quarterback prospects we've seen in a while. All I know that is if Penix stays healthy, I think he can be a really great NFL quarterback. Caleb Williams, the number 1 quarterback in this draft class, had a really controversial rise. If you want to learn more about that, check out this video.